Hi everyone, and welcome to day 3 of our devotions for this week entitled I Will Tell. My name's Chris and I'm the Senior Minister at ABC, and it's a joy to be leading you through these devotions this week. We're thinking about how our lives can speak to the goodness of God and be signposts that point people to Him. Today we're thinking about how we can radiate with the joy of God. Now, each day over the course of these devotions, we're using a short section from the Old Testament book of Psalms, which is a collection of poems, prayers, and worship songs. And today I'm going to read a section from Psalm 34. I'm going to read verses 4 to 7. I sought the Lord, and He answered me. He delivered me from all my fears. Those who look to Him are radiant. Their faces are never covered with shame. This poor man called, and the Lord heard him and saved him out of all his troubles. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear Him, and He delivers them. There are two key things that I want to highlight today as we seek to have lives that radiate joy, that speak, that tell of the goodness of God. And the first of these things leads to the second. The psalm tells us what to do when we're afraid, and most of us are afraid sometimes. The psalm says that when we're afraid, we should seek the Lord and call out to Him. I sought the Lord, it says, and He answered me. He delivered me from all my fears. When we're afraid, we should seek the Lord, call out to Him. And as we do so, remember this visual picture that's painted for us in verse 7. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear Him, and He delivers them. You know, when we're afraid and we seek the Lord and we call out to Him, we need to remember that as we do so, God sets up camp around us and will deliver us from fear. I love that imagery, that God will set up camp around us. When we're afraid, we can bring our fears, our anxieties, and our worries to God. We should simply tell Him about them. And when we do that, God sets up camp around us. God circles the wagons around us. God pitches a tent over us and surrounds us with His presence and His goodness. And the second thing flows from that. When we look to God in our fear and our worry and allow God to set up the camp of His presence all around us, we begin to shine. We begin to shine with the peace and comfort that comes from God, even if our situation and our circumstances aren't changing. Verse 5 says, those who look to Him are radiant. Their faces are never covered with shame. Those who look to Him are radiant. Have you ever met those kinds of people? I have, and they're a sight to behold. Those people who just radiate something, radiate peace, even in the midst of difficulty and tragedy. Those people who, no matter what they're going through or how scared they are, somehow shine with the radiance of God. I want to be like that, don't you? Well, I think that's available when we look to God and call out to Him in our fear. And I think as we radiate what God is giving to us, as He surrounds us and camps with us and blesses us with His presence, it speaks of who God is to others. So I want to encourage you today, or whenever it is that you're afraid and you find yourself anxious, I want to encourage you to call out to God, to look to Him and to imagine Him setting up the camp of His presence around you, circling the wagons, pitching the tent of His presence over you. And if you do that, I'm certain you will be radiant, and that will speak to the goodness of God. So I wonder now, as you pause in these next few moments, would you take a while to speak out your fears to God, to look to Him? And perhaps to help you with that, you'd use today's song, which is called Stand in Your Love by Josh Baldwin. There's a link in the description below. It contains these lyrics. When darkness tries to roll over my bones, when sorrow comes to steal the joy I own, when brokenness and pain is all I know, I won't be shaken. I won't be shaken. The chorus goes, my fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. So now, as this video finishes, perhaps you take a moment of quiet to confess your fears to God, to imagine Him pitching His tent of His presence over you, and then to listen to that song and to allow all of that to help your life radiate with the joy of God and to be a signpost to others to Him. Thanks for joining me today. God bless you, and I'll see you tomorrow.